right, looks like you're still with us.
Welcome, everyone. We are going to give folks a few more minutes to trickle in, and then we will get started with our webinar. All right, let's get started. I see Doreen introduced herself in the chat in from Malaysia. Welcome. So this is our Inspire series entitled Practical Innovation, Turning Innovative Ideas into Operational Solutions. And I'm grateful for our participants writing in the chat to say who they are, where they're joining from. So we'll keep looking for those and saying hello as you all come in. Next slide, please. So this is the Inspire series. It is brought to you by Bridge Innovate. We are a business innovation firm. We believe in business innovation by design. We do consulting, we do capability building with large nonprofits, large for-profit organizations. We also have a physical and a digital studio. And then as part of our Innovation for Good program, we do this Inspire series, which is free of charge, and we bring inspiring speakers in so that you can learn from them. We also run a Bright Spark program, which is an innovation challenge for kids to help build their creative confidence. You'll see some of our big clients here. You'll also get to hear from someone from Kenco today, and I'm gonna, without further ado, introduce her on the next slide. So I am very excited today to announce Kristi Montgomery, who is VP of Innovation and Research and Development at Kenco. Kristi has been in supply chain for about 30 years. She leads a combination think tank and practical working lab, partnering with entrepreneurs and startups to pilot solutions and deliver business value through practical application of innovation for the over 200 customers that Kenco serves in North America. We are really excited to have Kristi here today. Bridge has been working with Kenco for years, and so we've gotten to see how incredible their innovation work is, and we're excited for you all to learn from them. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Kristi.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and welcome everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you about innovation and how we turn that from ideas into practical application. So next slide, please. So just a little bit about who Kenco is. We are the largest third-party logistics organization in North America that is privately held and female-owned. So third-party logistics is a services-based organization that manages logistics for their customers. So for us, that means distribution services, managing that, transportation, material handling solutions, and then also what we call supply chain solutions, which is really where our innovation team sits and partners with a group of engineers and solution design and analytics folks to drive transformational change within our customers' supply chain. So that's Kenco as a whole. There's a lot of awards that you'll see at the bottom of the screen. I'm not going to go through those. The only one I will mention is the one from Inbound Logistics, which is a customer rated award, and Kenco goes up against customers that are 10 times our size, FedEx, UPS, folks like that. And we've been in the top 10 for 7 years running. So that's a really exciting award for us to be recognized by our customers as top of the top in North America. So that's who we are, in short. Largest female-owned organization. So that's exciting for me. We just crossed our $1 billion mark in revenue. So this first quarter of this year. So we're excited about that. And we have a little over 100-ish sites across North America. So mostly distribution, some of those transportation hubs and material handling as well. Next slide, please. So a little bit about innovation at Kenco. I've been with the organization for over 30 years, and most of my background is in technology. However, about 7 years ago, the market started changing and asking for innovation within the supply chain and logistics space. And our leadership had the foresight to step up and say, we're going to dedicate a team to doing innovation in the supply chain. And I was fortunate enough to be given the opportunity to set that team up and decide how we were going to do things and how we were going to innovate at Kenco. So we do have a dedicated team. We do have a physical warehouse that we test solutions in. And we do have some patents pending. We also decided long ago in the beginning that our methodology for doing innovation at Kenco was going to be very much around design thinking. And one of the unique things that we do as a supply chain organization is really offer that innovation as a service. A lot of our customers, all of their innovation efforts are focused on their product that they are building, selling, manufacturing, less so on their supply chain and their logistics organization. So we really stepped up to be that arm for them that can innovate within their supply chain. So I won't read the numbers to you, but you can see that we've delivered some significant value in the past 7 years that we've been doing this. So I'll talk a little bit about, next slide, please. One of the most exciting things that I'm working on that I'm really looking forward to bringing to fruition to the marketplace. And as you can imagine, in over 120 warehouses, I have a lot of material handling equipment, a lot of lift trucks. And that's, what's considered a blue collar job. And so we struggle with today's labor market and finding people who are excited about coming to work in a blue collar job. Think about moving boxes in a warehouse, not really exciting, right? Can often be a safety concern as well. And so, we started looking at where are companies moving toward this virtual or remote work opportunity. And it's very easy in an office environment for you to do remote work. I'm coming to you remotely today, obviously. Not so for someone who's driving a forklift or driving an 18-wheeler. It's a concern, right? So this company called Phantom Auto in California has built up an entire method and hardware and software solution around being able to remotely drive a forklift in a warehouse. And so I'm able to sit in my lab in Chattanooga and drive a forklift that's in a warehouse in San Francisco, California, which is really cool technology. So we expect to have a fully outfitted lift in our own lab in September of this year to start testing for our facilities. But one of the most exciting things about these, so for Kenco, our guiding principles are be honest, serve, and get better. It's that simple. And, when we think about serving, we want to serve not only our customers, but our associates as well. And so these guys have a partnership with Wounded Warriors. And so if you think about the folks that cannot physically run a lift truck in a warehouse, this enabling them to virtually drive that lift truck and be gainfully employed, that's a huge win. Also, think about areas where people have lost jobs and don't have the capability to go into work every day. This gives them the opportunity to stay in their hometown and still work, again, gainfully employed. So this is the newest thing we're working on. Really excited about it. We hope to have it in piloting the first of next year. So just wanted to share that with you guys to think about some of the ways that we innovate. I know moving boxes doesn't sound like a fun environment to innovate in, but these kind of things get me really excited. You can go ahead to the next slide. So this is kind of how to get a hold of me, but what I really wanted to talk to you guys about today was just how do we get from somebody had a great idea like remote control forklifts to actually delivering it in a warehouse and it actually working. You know, it's not without its challenges. And so I live in a corporate world. There's a lot of corporate inertia around innovation. And so just moving us beyond the, well, this is the way we've always done it, probably is one of the largest challenges that I face. And probably another one I would say is just innovating a service versus a product. I think if I were in a manufacturing environment where I were looking at how to manufacture a brand new cereal that somebody would be excited about eating for breakfast, it might make my life a lot easier. Instead of trying to innovate, how do we better manage a warehouse for a Fortune 500 company, or better manage transportation for a Fortune 500 company? It's really difficult to look at the service side of a business and innovate around that. So that's been, you know, some of the challenges. We've had some successes though. One of the, I mentioned that we were patent pending on a couple things. One of our first things that we came out with to solve a problem within our industry was related to our customers having chargebacks when they ship something to a retail client. And the retail client doesn't like the way it arrived, whether it was damaged or it wasn't wrapped properly, it wasn't labeled properly. You know, I think how do you overcome that? And we said, okay, well, here's a solution for that. So we've been fighting the patent office now for going on 5 years. So that would probably be one of the significant challenges if you're in the mode of inventing something as part of your innovation. Is just we had no idea what that process would look like. Thankfully, we have a great partner here in town that is an attorney and an intellectual property attorney, and who've been guiding us through this process and dealing with all of the rejections that we've gotten from the patent office. I think we've been rejected about 6 times now. So just this week, we had a call finally with the primary investigator on the case, looking at the patent. And 5 years, again, we've been talking about this, and we explained the concept of chargebacks to this examiner, and it clicked finally. So our hope is that the patent's coming, but that's a challenge, right? For anybody who's trying to innovate something brand new that's not in the market, and then you want to, you know, protect that, you want to patent that. It's a huge challenge to get there, but we've still rolled that product out to all of our facilities. So they're using it, they're finding success with it. And so we just wanted to make sure we could protect that. So that's a challenge with innovation. But I think, you know, to the point of getting it to the execution, I'm sure that many of you have heard the concept of creating a minimum viable product. One of our learnings early on in innovation was, let's not try to make all the bells and whistles available to the customer on the front end. All that does is give them the ability to say, well, I wish it did this versus that. I wish you could make that red versus green. I wish if we had just given them the minimum capable and said, here, we're going to build out all these really cool features in the future, but does the core of this thing work? So one of the learnings we had early on was just really go after the core of what the product needs to do and make sure you get that right first. And then you can, you know, iterate and make it better, make it better, make it better. If you try to go to everything first, you get stuck in that kind of waterfall methodology of old school IT, where you're trying to build it all and then hand it off to the customer and say, I'm done. You really want to be agile with innovation and build something that people can use and then continue to add to it and make it better as you go. One of the things that we've found most successful is, and this may sound really boring, but a paper prototype. So we do a PowerPoint presentation, literally, that's our prototype the first time out. We sit down in a room with focus group and walk them through how the product would work, how the product would react in the warehouse, how it would act in the cab of a truck. Whether it's a mobile app or it's a robot, or it doesn't matter what it is, we're walking them through that and getting their feedback before we ever spend any time programming or building or, you know, mechanizing something. very cheap way to iterate forward with an idea. And then, one of the things that we also really have put into practice is that the best ideas come from the people who do the job every day, not the leadership team. So we have an idea portal. Not saying our leadership team doesn't have great ideas. Happen to think they might be watching. They do have great ideas. But we have an idea portal where anyone at Kenco has the ability to go in and issue an idea or an invention or some way of doing a new process differently that could improve upon what we do today. And so anytime, day or night, it's web-based, they can go in there, they can say, hey, I have this idea how to make this better. Or what if we thought about doing this? And that's something that comes through to my team, and we're constantly reviewing those. We also issue 4 challenges in that portal every year around different types of issues that we're facing as an organization, just to try to bring in that group that do the job and get their opinions on what could be better. And then once a year, which is something I'm doing right now, we put our high potential leadership group through development training, and we teach them how to think differently using design thinking. And we issue 4 really big, hairy challenges to those guys. And we have them formulate a how might we statement around that and really work to solution that problem within the organization. And when we do that, we're really looking for transformational change. Kenco is an organization founded on continuous improvement. And we've always been about continuous improvement, but when we're doing these larger, hairy projects, we're really looking for transformational change. So an example from last year was we have an operating system that we put in as a set of processes and procedures. It's very standardized across every warehouse and every business unit, that we are driving our culture, driving our guiding principles. And it's a complicated process, and there are 3 tiers of certification within it, and it's very manual. And so the challenge last year was, how do we digitize that? And that the team that had that came back with a really good solution for where to start. And they put a modular process in place and laid out a roadmap for how to iterate beyond that first piece. And so we're about to roll out that initial piece of digitization for our operating system. So I get really excited about being able to take these ideas and turn them into something that actually delivers business value. That first thing that I'm trying to get patented, customer came to us with that problem. Within 2 weeks, we had a prototype. Within 6 months, we had an implementable solution, and our customer told us that saved him $3 million just in year 1. So that's what I mean when I say practical application. I want it to go and deliver value to the business, to the customer, or to the associates on the floor, something like remote control lift trucks. So that's my story. That's how you create applied innovation. It's really taking the idea that is at the heart of the customer's feeling and problem, and really taking that to fruition and delivering it to implement to the organization, starting with as simple as a paper PowerPoint, just to make sure you've got your idea well nailed down and all the feedback is there. So,
wow. Christy, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Incredible to think about all that the remote forklift has been able to achieve, probably beyond its initial scope, working with folks who may not be physically able to operate a forklift. If you think about our digital world now too. Will you tell me more about, before you get to an MVP, how do you determine the core capabilities that an innovation needs to achieve?
That's a great question. So I think that's part of the initial phases of design thinking, where you're going through a discovery process and you're doing some interviewing of the different people who are subject matter experts around the issue, the problem, the challenge, and really just trying to draw out more about it. I find if I go ask a customer, what's your biggest pain point? I usually get whatever at the moment is driving them crazy. Whereas if I ask the question, what would you like for your warehouse to look like in 3 years from now? I'm going to get a much broader set of, here's really where they want to go. And so we try to prioritize ideas that have a more broad applicability across our customer base versus just a one-off niche kind of solution. So remote control forklifts is one of those. Vision picking is another one where we implemented a solution that we did it for a specific customer, but we felt like if it worked, we could broaden that across our customer base. So I think the other thing that I would say around that front end is really, let's make sure we're discovering, not only discovering, but we're going and researching what's out in the market, what could be done, what's already been done. Again, we don't want to reinvent the wheel here. So I think it's really important to take a look at what has already been done in the marketplace as part of that upfront discovery as well. So.
Hi, Christy. Jenny Whitener here. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. It's been amazing over the years to see the extraordinary innovation coming out of Kenco and with your leadership. So first of all, thank you. I haven't had a chance to say that.
Thank you.
I just really love the fact that you had a couple of learnings that all of your talk today, but a couple of things I just wanted to drill down on just a little bit. One is this concept of rapid prototyping.
Mm-hmm.
The way you described it seems so simple. It's so powerful. Why do other innovation leaders, why do you feel that I sense that sometimes people are like cautious to do that, or they're concerned that if they come to an executive team or to a possible customer with like a paper prototype, that they'll get some type of like, is this all you have kind of thing? I mean, yeah. Why is it that more innovation leaders are not as open to just going with the basic paper prototype to begin with?
I think it's a perception problem, Jenny. I think we as innovation leaders feel like we're supposed to bring the whiz bang wow and the bright shiny objects that people will get excited about. And what happens is we end up with bright shiny objects. Right. And when you can sit down and say, I want to bring something that's really practical and show them what it could be and get their feedback, it ends up being a better product at the end of the day.
Right. Well, I think I'm just applaud you. I just would like to put that on a billboard for all innovation leaders, start with these very simple prototypes and learn quickly. I mean, it's all in the literature, but for some reason, I think people have difficulty applying it. And I think you guys have been a master with your leadership to do that. The other thing I thought was very interesting about your concept is talking about where great ideas come from. And getting as close to where the work is done, as close to the user as you can get. Any other insights, like so many times I think we get that again, theoretically and intellectually, but getting either time with the user or getting to be in their environment, how do you guys manage that? How do you manage getting that intimacy and that access to get that insight from the user?
That's a great question, Jenny. We really do go spend time on the floor with the users and put them at ease to know, yeah, I'm here from corporate, but listen, I started out just like you. I was part-time, clerical help when I started at Kenco. So, I'm just one of you. I just want to know how to make this better. And I think getting to the point where you can incentivize those employees to either be a part of the process of developing the solution or, giving them an award for giving you an idea, whatever that case may be. But I think I can give you a great example of a learning. We took an idea from one of our leaders who really thought this issue was a challenge, and we started working it. We started developing a solution, and couldn't get that leader on the phone to kind of walk through the solution with. So we went back to the users at the site level and said, listen, this is what we've built out for you because your leader has said this is a problem. And they go, no, we've already kind of solved that. Here's what we've done. So for us, it's if I'm going to get it an applied application of innovation or an applied solution, it's going to have to be that I have to talk to those users, because oftentimes our leaders have so much on their plate and so much they're responsible for, they're not in the day-to-day details. I think it's critical to have those folks.
Yeah. I mean, and you're living this, but I don't know if you would call it democratizing innovation, but even your
Mhm.
story about, getting the high potential leaders engaged in the process. This is, again, so many things that organizations have the aspiration to do, but just don't find their way to actually getting it done. What you were just telling me a story of is really equipping people at the floor level, like in their work every day, with the fundamentals of innovating and inspiring them to come up with new solutions, all the way up to your, high potentials. And that's really starting to create a culture. I mean, would you say that you guys are really operating with a culture of innovation there?
I think we are. We certainly have room to grow and things to do differently, but yeah, our learning and development team has done a great job of putting an emphasis on teaching our leadership to think differently about the same problems we've always had.
Yeah, right.
So,
Well, again, congratulations. I see that Emily's back with us, but congratulations again on extraordinary outcomes in your innovation process. And thank you for your leadership in the industry and for women overall. I know that you're recently been received an award for that. And so I just want to thank you for joining us today and sharing your wisdom.
thank you guys so much for having me, and we appreciate the partnership with Bridge that we've had over the years as well. That's helped guide some of that.
So wonderfully,
Yes. All right. That wraps up our Inspire series for today. Thank you all for joining us. And thank you again so much to Kristi for her leadership and for giving us her time today. We will see you all for our next talk. If we could go to the next slide. Here it is. Oh, sorry, one back. These are our upcoming events. You all should receive these in our newsletter. They are also on our website at bridgeinnovate.com/events. So we look forward to seeing you at upcoming Inspire series, as well as our in-person events in our studio. Thank you all. We'll see you soon.
thank you. Bye. Thank you, Kristi.
Thank you.